Hey everyone, Brad Walker with Redline Real Estate here in Airdrie, and in today's video we're going to talk about 5 things that I wish I would have known about Airdrie before I moved here. Now these 5 things aren't necessarily good or bad, or they're not deal breakers or deal makers for moving here to Airdrie, but just 5 things that are good to know about this city before you do make your move here. And if you are looking to make a move here, all my contact information is down below. I work all the time with people moving into our beautiful city, so please reach out to me. I'd love to have a discussion about your plans and make a plan towards getting you here to Airdrie. And one more thing before we get started, if you could scroll down for me, hit that like button, and also subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see the future videos about Airdrie. But without further ado, let's just jump right into it. And number 1 on our list, and something that you've probably heard about Airdrie before, is the hail here. Now before we moved here, all we heard constantly was how terrible the hail was in here in Airdrie and how it's just the worst place to be for hailstorms. Now it didn't help that we moved here in 2015 and they had just come off of a huge storm in 2014 which caused about $450 million worth of damage in Airdrie. So that is where a lot of that stigma came from. But since I've moved here, all of the major storms seem to have happened in other towns and cities in southern Alberta. So it really just becomes a matter of, if you're moving anywhere in southern Alberta, there's a good chance that you're going to experience some hail at some point. So just be aware of that. Understand what your insurance is covering to make sure that you're covered for hail, and just know that wherever you are in southern Alberta, including Airdrie, there's always a chance of getting some sort of hailstorm. And number 2 on our list is, here in Airdrie we don't have any city provided black bins for garbage. Now this is something that typically surprises people when they move here, because a lot of other cities and towns provide a black bin that gets collected every week for their garbage. We do have a green bin for organics and a recycle bin, a blue bin, that's provided by the city to use for weekly collection of recycling and organics and compost, but we don't have a city provided black bin. So all we do here in Airdrie is you take your bag of garbage and you put it out on the street each week, and then they come and pick it up. So when you move here, you're gonna have to buy your own bin to keep your bags in probably, so that each week you can put it out on the road. Not a huge deal, but just something that pretty much everybody I find doesn't actually know about Airdrie until they move here and they think their black bin is missing. Alright, now on to number 3 on our list, which is the wind here in Airdrie. Now if you're on the west side of the city, it's gonna get pretty windy fairly often. So it's just something to know if you're looking at houses, whether that be you're purchasing or renting, that if you are on that west side of the city, especially on the first couple rows in from that west side of the city, it can get extremely windy over there, and it's not uncommon for homes to be missing a few shingles after a really windy day. So just something to note, that if you aren't used to the wind, that on the west side of the city especially, you're probably going to experience some pretty heavy winds at times, so just be prepared for that. I know if you're moving from somewhere like Lethbridge or southern Alberta, the wind is way worse down there, so up here is going to be pretty tame to you. But if you're moving from somewhere where the wind isn't so bad, then it's definitely something that you'll notice here in Airdrie. Alright, and now on to number 4 on our list, which is the fact that there's no hospital in Airdrie or the direct proximity to Airdrie. This is also something that sometimes surprises people, because Airdrie is a pretty good size, about 75,000 people, but we do not have a dedicated hospital for our area. So you are about a 25 to 30 minute drive to a couple different hospitals in the city. To a lot of people that's not going to be a big deal. That usually gives plenty enough time to get there, and we do have urgent care in Airdrie for if you do have those emergencies and you do need care right away. But if you are someone who your situation requires you to be very close to a hospital, then that's definitely something to consider, is it will be about 25 to 30 minutes depending on rush hour traffic. It could be definitely more than that to get to the nearest hospital. Alright, and last on our list today, number 5 is the residential speed limit here in Airdrie, which again, something a lot of people don't hear about till they move here, is that all of our residential roads here in Airdrie are 30 kilometers an hour. So anytime you're on a road with houses, other than just a couple streets that I can think of here in Airdrie, they're all 30 kilometers an hour, whether you're in a school zone or not. That's the speed limit. So it does catch a lot of people off guard who are used to either 40 or 50 kilometer an hour residential speeds. When you get to Airdrie, that slows down to 30, and at first it can seem super slow, but after living here for a few years, you really start to appreciate the 30 km/h speed limit, especially if you have kids playing out on the road. It's really nice to have all the cars moving slow enough that they can stop really fast if they need to. And now I find if I'm driving somewhere like Calgary, I'm usually going 30 in the residential with a big lineup of people behind me because that's just what I'm used to, and going 50 seems super unsafe. So 30 km/h residential speed in Airdrie. We still do have marked school zones, but your speed shouldn't really change when you're in those if you're on one of the residential streets. Well, that about does it for our video today. There's a lot more things that when you move to a new city, you learn about that city that you didn't know before. So if you're watching this video and you're from Airdrie, please comment down below the things that you learned about Airdrie after you moved here, and that'll help someone else who's watching this video who's planning on moving here learn some of those other things about the city. But for now, that's all I have. My name is Brad Walker with Redline Real Estate, and we'll see you next time.